hello to all. We continue with our Media Sapiens Talk after the talks with Macedonian team, Lithuanian and Latvian. Today we will have the pleasure to speak with the representative of our French partner. And my first question to him is, so you are Youth ID and what do you do, like generally? Welcome.
Okay. It's always not a simple question for us, this kind of question, because as a youth NGO, we are trying really to help young people to take actions, to raise their voices. And of course, you have a big diversity of young people and of people in general in society. And so they all have different ideas and projects. And so we are working on many topics at the same time because we are trying to help them to take actions. But yeah, finally, what we are really trying to do is really to empower young people to be able to be like active citizens. But all these kind of things, because I think many NGOs are doing this kind of things, and it's perfect. The more we are, the better it is. Mm-hmm. But one of our specificities, like we are using a lot like international mobility, because we are thinking that it is a great tool for having fun, but also to feel useful, to be more open-minded, to be more engaged. And also we are trying to use a lot of peer education. So even in the NGO, all the decision makers of our NGO are under 30 years old. And so we are always trying to use this kind of also of logics, like using like young people and to do projects for and by young people.
That's really nice to hear that you really work with young people, because sometimes I have a feeling that even if it's called youth NGO, there are no young people, you know, like that you meet them and, you know, so where are your young people? And they are nowhere to be found. So it's really nice to hear. Now, why we have this talk with you is that because your organization is also partner in international mobility focused on media literacy. And I would like to just ask, like, what is your thought when we speak about media literacy and France and the context, like general? Maybe there's some appealing issues, or what you would say, like media literacy, it is known term, people are curious, or it's something totally out of focus?
I think now in France, it's funny because this kind of topic, it could be one priority for the institutions, but not for the citizens. And so I know that now in France, since like 4 and 5 years, it's like more and more like trendy to use the idea of media literacy, because also of the problem of extremism in society. More and more people become more and more polarized, they are extremist on their ideas, more radical. And so during a long time, media was really like taking a big role in this kind of radicalization of the society. And so French people and French institutions were trying to really push for more projects on media education or media literacy. But what is funny is like you have a kind of priority with institutions, but after with citizens, when you are speaking with them, they do not think it is a priority, or they do not really understand what it is. And they think that there are more, we have other priorities more important. So I think it's a kind of like a paradox in France when you are speaking about media literacy, because it is a kind of priority, because it is the base of everything, how we are getting the information, and after how we are going to create our reflections and to take positions on some topics. And so we are really trying now to explain like today, particularly with like internet and with social media, we need to be aware that our communication could be really focused on some topics, and that we have a kind of it's more and more difficult to have diversities, and even when you're working in the NGO sector. So of course, I think we're working for human rights and we are really like progressive for the society and everything, but it doesn't mean that everyone is reading the same media as us. So even us, we need also to be more open-minded and to also use other kind of media, because on social media and our internet and our friends are thinking the same things as us. but it doesn't mean that the rest of the society has the same access to the same media as us and the same ID. So yeah, that's why I think now media literacy, media education in France is like a complicated topic, because you have different points of view depending of if you're an institution or a social workers or if you're just a citizens.
And you mentioned these interesting things that people would say that there are other priorities. So what would be the priorities? If you told them, okay, I want to speak about media literacy, so what they would say? No, media literacy is not a priority for me. It would be what? What would be the answer?
Kind of religion debate issue now in France, like we're speaking a lot about like extremism of some religions, and like how they are going to be integrated in society, and of course it's also a topic, but when you are reading or listening in some media, it is like the only priority, and they're only speaking about this, so it could be like kind of frustrating and kind of dangerous for people in the population. And that's why for many citizens, one of the priorities is immigration. And maybe that's why also we have like more and more like extremist parties, political extremist parties. Another one I think is unemployment, just like unemployment and inequalities in society. And I think this is a real priority for many people, and we are not speaking so much about it in the media. And so that's why sometimes you have, I think, kind of frustration from the population, and we had a lot of like demonstration, like Gilets jaunes and all these kind of topics. And another one, I think, is the confidence with our institutions. So we're speaking a lot about the violence with the police, with police officer. We had a lot of debate, but I think it's more global. It's how we are trustful now. What is our confidence in our like politicians or our like authorities, and this is more and more like a debate in France.
Like, thank you very much for like talking about all this issue, because I need to admit, France is not really covered in Czech media. You know, we just see these pictures of demonstrations, but it's very vague. Like, it's not why it's happening or what is happening. You see just some pictures of people throwing the stones, and there is a tear gas. So it is also maybe like this good topic, like from the point of media literacy, that the media also don't really refer to the other, let's say, realities, like just to check one many times. So the last question, because I know that you are busy, you are a youth worker, you work with young people. How you like kind of keep yourself, let's say, media literate, or let's say media sane? Because we face many information also like us, like a youth workers. We work with many people, we want to attract the youngsters. I asked these questions also in the previous media talks, so I'm curious about you. For example, we had a partner from Lithuania, which she said that it's very hard to catch young people because they don't use Facebook anymore. They are just maybe on Instagram or now on TikTok. So, you know how it's changing for you, like a youth worker, how this media sphere.
I think it's a really, really good question, because it's one of the big issues now of the NGO sector in France and of institutions. Because often, like, I think that's why we also really need diversity in the decision-making process, and it's what we are pledging for with USID, because very often we have the same decision makers, and everywhere, including in the NGO sector, it's not more progressive, and most of the time it's men, white, coming from like a rich background and more than 50 years old or sometimes 60 years old. And so, of course, I think now they're disconnected from many problematics of the society, and even more from the problematics of young people. Because I think you do not need to be young to understand young people. Of course, like you do not need to be black to understand like black issues. But I think you still need to hear these kind of voices and to live more or less the same problems in the society. So that's why diversity is really important. And I think that's why we need also to include more young people in the decision-making process, to be sure that we are going to be able to contact them. And so if we want to do a communication to target young people, of course, we need to involve in this communication young people, because they will also use TikTok, they will also use Instagram, they will also use the different vocabularies even. So I think here we really need this diversity. And so maybe it's one of our difference, because in the NGO, we are still more or less young, even if of course it depends on the age and we become to be like less young than I would like. But at least I think we are able to communicate and to use this kind of idea of peer education, like I was saying at the beginning, and also to know that it is very important in our value. And so, like I said, even us now, we are too old sometimes for some topics or for some public. And so we are using this idea of peer education, and so we are trying to involve in our testimonies young people of 17 years old or 14 years old, if we want to speak with them, and really try to have this kind of intergenerational process and to involve people. After, it is true that still it is difficult, because like you said, now we have so many like information coming from everywhere, and so it's not so easy to communicate and to explain everything, but we are really trying first to really use internet and social media, and even now, for example, we are part of one program from Google to have like free advertising on Google, and so we are really using like digital marketing, and so we are also working in our volunteers or our like workers. Some of them are like really talented in digital marketing, and they were even like from the private sector working in companies, and so we are trying to use the same tools in NGO sector. And I think the professionalization of the social workers is really important. You also need to have a kind of diversity from different backgrounds and different skills. And another one is like we are also trying more and more to go outside directly with some publics. And so we're working a lot with street educators, are trying to have like just a table outside, like kind of during demonstration, during festival, during places where young people are going also. And so we're also trying to go in the place where young people have fun. I think it's really important also to go outside and try to not always use institutions, but also like show that NGO sector is fun, is also something attractive, and you can really enjoy, and you can meet friends, and you can even go to a bar to do your meetings, and in all these kind of things. I think it's really important, because I do not know how it is in the Czech Republic, but in France during a long time, NGO sector, and it is still the case now, is shown as a kind of sectors for only retired people, because they are the only one to have time, and like you are not well paid, and everything is like voluntary, these kind of things, and or many people have this idea that you are not going to love. You are always here to work, and it's going to be really difficult because you are like here to aid people that are in needs. And so we're also trying to break this kind of stereotypes and show that there is no problem to be in the NGO sector and to be useful and having fun. And it's what we are trying to do, and that's why we're also participating in festivals, in bars, in many places where young people are going.
Thank you very much for all this. I think it's very important to share it, because maybe now when I am thinking what we do, sometimes we also kind of, maybe we are really boring when we promote the activities. It's like that we say you will learn this and this, but maybe we are not really saying that there is also other things going on even during these international training courses. So that you can really meet the new people, you can have a fun, that it's not kind of, it doesn't exclude the learning part of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Is there anything else what you would like to share with the world, or like you would like to add? Like to neither to media literacy or this work with young people?
I think to conclude, but I think it's kind of also an answer of what you were saying just before. Like I think it's really important for social workers and for even everyone, I think, to be also positive and like we say, like to show that even if we are speaking about burning issues or difficult topic, we can still be positive and optimistic in society, and and I think this is really important, and is also one of the big problems of media today. It's only about bad news, and I think we also need to listen like positive stories. We need also to get inspiration, and particularly I think the new generation. I think it's really important to speak about the problems, but also to speak about what is going well, and to give them confidence in their future.
I really like this last sentence which you say, that we need to be positive and give the confidence, because sometimes I really have a feeling that we are just overwhelmed by some negativity, how everything goes wrong. So really thank you for sharing this piece of small positivity with us.
You're welcome.
And we will also, of course, share it with others.